The Asus Zephyrus G14 versus the MSI Prestige 15. Two thin and light laptops with the power you need for video editing, motion design, photo editing, and graphic design. I have put these two laptops through 14 plus creator benchmarks to see which one is best suited for your needs.
Let's get rocking!
If you're new to the channel, my name is Benji Kaiser. This is where you're going to find the best tech and tools for creative professionals. If you're curious about the exact pricing of either one of these laptops, you can head down in the description below and click one of those links. Now, if you do make a purchase through those links, I will get a small commission, but at no extra cost to you. And that's what keeps this channel alive and the helpful content coming your way. I wanted to put these two laptops head to head because although they don't share similarities in the performance specifications on paper, they are both thin and light, aluminum, have great battery life, and they handle creator tasks with ease. Tasks such as video editing, photo editing, motion design, and graphic design. We will get into the exact benchmarks soon, but first let's jump right into the build quality. Both of these laptops come with an all aluminum build, the Asus Zephyrus G14 with its matte white finish, and the MSI Prestige 15 with its deep blue and royal blue accents. Right off the bat, I must say that I am personally drawn towards the MSI. It is a more discreet and professional looking laptop. I know a lot of you talk about wanting to come into a meeting with a laptop that does not have a flashy build aesthetic. While the Zephyrus G14 is not an in-your-face gaming laptop, it is definitely less discreet than the Prestige 15 in my opinion. Regarding the ports on each of these laptops, I always encourage people to think about their own use case. The latest and greatest ports are great, but only if they fit your needs. So observe the ports shown here and choose wisely. As I open the lid of each of these laptops, I am able to do so with only one hand. The hinges are smooth and strong. There's only a slight bit of screen flex that is equally present on the Zephyrus G14 and the Prestige 15. I would rate these hinges as a tiebreaker. Both are solid and sturdy. Before we move on to the screen quality, I want to discuss the ventilation of these two laptops. The Asus Zephyrus G14 has far more ventilation for its beefy, heat-producing Ryzen 9 processor. It has vents along both side panels, behind the keyboard deck, and on the bottom cover, whereas the MSI Prestige 15 only has two vents, on the bottom cover and behind the keyboard deck. Now, how noisy are these fans and how well do they cool the laptop during the benchmark tests coming up later in the video? Well, at idle, the Zephyrus G14 kicks up to 43 decibels and remains there for the most part while doing some light web browsing, whereas the Prestige 15 stays at or below 37 decibels, which is nearly unnoticeable. During the 4K editing export in Premiere Pro, the Zephyrus G14 ramps up to 60 decibels, while the Prestige 15 gets no louder than 46 decibels. During the DaVinci Resolve export, the fans on the Zephyrus were at 59 decibels, and the Prestige 15 was at 46 decibels. Now for the Photoshop benchmark test, the Zephyrus G14 was at 61 decibels, and the MSI Prestige 15 was at 42 decibels. So basically, the Prestige 15 is able to get the same fan noise at full 4K export as the Zephyrus at idle, which I think is pretty crazy. But what about the thermal performance? Is the Prestige running really hot because of this? Well, in fact, the MSI Prestige 15 is more than 10 degrees cooler during the 4K export compared to the Zephyrus G14. And regarding some more in-depth thermals, here are the charts. Now, you may be thinking, yeah, but I'm sure the export times are a landslide difference between these two laptops. Well, my friend, we will get into those tests in just a few minutes, and I think you will be surprised, so keep watching this video so you don't miss out on those tests. Alright, now that we have covered those details, let's get into the screen quality. The Asus Zephyrus G14 comes with a 14-inch Full HD 16:9 display that can reach 120 Hz. At full brightness, it can reach 330 nits with a Pantone validated color gamut range of 96% sRGB, 75% Adobe RGB, and 76% DCI-P3, all at an average Delta E of 1.27. For a gaming laptop, this is a fantastic screen. The MSI Prestige 15 comes with a 15.6-inch 4K display with a 60 Hz refresh rate. Concerning the brightness and quality of the screen, it can reach 425 nits at full brightness and has a color gamut range of 100% sRGB, 100% Adobe RGB, and 94% DCI-P3, all at an average Delta E of 0.96. The clear winner is the MSI Prestige 15 with its bright, exceptionally color accurate 4K screen. This model I'm reviewing is slightly more expensive than the G14, but that depends on how you outfit the G14. You can check the exact pricing of these two models in the description below. If you find that the 4K version of the Prestige is a little out of your price range, you can pick up the Prestige 15 Full HD model, which comes with 16 gigs of RAM and a Full HD screen that is 100% sRGB color accurate, putting the screen a little closer in comparison to the G14. The Asus Zephyrus G14 and the Prestige 15 both have standard keyboard layouts with soft, snappy key press. I did notice that the key press on the Zephyrus had a slightly longer key travel, but not by a lot. I will say that I prefer the Asus keyboard layout slightly more with the presence of a full shift key on the right side rather than the 2/3 shift key that the Prestige 15 comes with. I like to use the right shift key, and I found myself missing it on occasion with the Prestige 15, which was an annoying type of experience for me personally. The backlighting on the MSI keyboard far outshines the G14. It has consistent and bright keyboard lighting that offers great contrast for easily identifiable keys. However, the Asus Zephyrus G14 has light leaks on the sides of the keys, inconsistent backlighting showing through the keys, and in the dark, this silver gray contrast is a little tough to see when typing. Both the Zephyrus G14 and the MSI Prestige 15 come with all-in-one trackpads with a click built in. I will say that I favor the Prestige 15's trackpad as it is much larger than the G14's. Now, it is right to consider that the G14 is a whole 1.6 inches smaller concerning the screen, which takes away from a good portion of the available measurements for the keyboard deck. But nonetheless, I like its size more. However, both trackpads have nice, smooth, firm click when pressed, an accurate click as well as great touch gestures. So either way, you will be satisfied with the trackpad. I just like the bigger trackpad on the Prestige 15. If you are needing a laptop to attend virtual meetings, then you are going to want to select the MSI Prestige 15 as it is the only one with a 720p webcam in this head-to-head battle. Concerning the on-the-go capabilities of these two laptops, the Asus Zephyrus G14 weighs in at 3.53 pounds at a thickness of 0.7 inches thick, whereas the MSI Prestige 15 weighs in at 3.64 pounds at a thickness of 0.63 inches. Both laptops are eager to be your on-the-go workstation, so let's see if we can settle this with a battery life test. With the Asus Zephyrus G14, you'll get roughly 9.5 hours of web browsing battery life and 6 to 7 hours of design and video editing battery life out of the 76 watt-hour battery. Whereas with the MSI Prestige 15, you'll get roughly 7.5 hours of web browsing and 5 hours of design and video editing out of the 82 watt-hour battery. It appears that the MSI Prestige bright 4K screen is pulling a bit more power from the battery, allowing the G14 to edge it out and win the battery life test even with a slightly smaller battery. Now on to the main event, the performance benchmarking test between the Asus Zephyrus G14 and the MSI Prestige 15. But before we get into it, if you're enjoying this video and getting some value, gently press down on that like button and let me know how you plan on using this laptop by dropping a comment below. If you want more content like this in the future, then make sure to subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any of the future uploads. Okay, let's get back into it. The Asus Zephyrus G14 comes with an AMD Ryzen 9 4900HS with 8 cores and 16 threads. The NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2060 Max-Q with 6 gigs of GDDR6 VRAM, 16 gigs of DDR4 RAM, and a storage setup of 1TB NVMe and 500 gigs of SATA SSD. The MSI Prestige 15 comes with an Intel 10th Gen Core i7-10710U with 6 cores and 12 threads. The NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1650 Max-Q, 32 gigs of RAM that is upgradable to 64 gigs, and 1TB of NVMe SSD. As you can see, the Zephyrus is outpacing the MSI in the GPU and CPU category. But like I said earlier, I think you are going to be surprised by the MSI and how it keeps pretty good pace with the G14. Let's jump right into the motion design tests. For these tests, I'm going to use the Puget Systems After Effects benchmark and the After Effects render benchmark. Per the chart, you can see that the Zephyrus G14 pulled ahead of the MSI Prestige 15 and by quite a lot. So all of my promises about the MSI Prestige 15 keeping up are not evident here, and that is mainly due in part to the much more powerful GPU in the Zephyrus G14. The Zephyrus G14 scored a 775 over the Prestige 15's 493. After Effects is definitely still doable with the MSI, but the Asus is the clear choice if you're a heavy After Effects user. We see similar results during the After Effects render test, with the Zephyrus G14 scoring a 615 and the MSI Prestige 15 scoring a 348. Just before moving on to the video editing test, let's take a look to see how well these two laptops perform in Adobe's design suite by benchmarking them with the Puget Systems Photoshop benchmark. The MSI Prestige is really starting to close the gap here by scoring a mere 100 points behind the powerful Ryzen 9 processor. Both laptops perform well, capturing solid benchmarks on the chart, making each of these laptops a great fit for Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign. So if you are a graphic designer, photographer, or illustrator, then either of these laptops would be a great fit for you. Now onto my favorite benchmark test, video editing. First, I'm going to start off with a playback test. For this test, I'm going to use a 9-minute 4K clip, add some motion design graphics, and then play it back in the timeline at full quality. This full clip contains 16,177 frames in total, with 7,240 of those frames being motion graphics. The Zephyrus G14 can play back full quality 4K footage in the Premiere Pro timeline with only 3 drop frames thanks to the powerful RTX 2060 Max-Q GPU. During this test, the Acer Predator 15 saw a drop frame rate as follows. During 4 quality, 5,066. During half quality, 24. And during fourth quality, 0. If you're an avid 4K video editor, then the Asus Zephyrus G14 is the clear choice. But as you saw, the drop frame rates decreased significantly on the Prestige 15 when turning it back to half and fourth quality. So you can definitely get your 4K video edits done on the Prestige as well. But if you're somebody who wants a really fast timeline playback at full quality, I will say, like, secret here, I never edit at full quality. I always edit at fourth quality because I'm always doing so much multitasking and I want the smoothest playback possible. So for you, fourth quality may be totally fine and the MSI Prestige 15 would still be a great fit for 4K video editing. Now, I was only running Premiere Pro during these tests, so you may see slightly more drop frames when multitasking, like I just said, but you can easily switch to half or fourth quality to continue to get that smooth playback in the timeline. Concerning the rendering of the motion design effects, I was able to render out the 7,240 frames in just 3 minutes and 6 seconds with the Zephyrus G14, and quite a bit slower at 5 minutes and 49 seconds for the MSI Prestige 15. Both are impressive times for the render test. But as you see, the Zephyrus G14 pulls out on top. Moving on to the 4K export time, I'm going to take a 9-minute 4K clip, place it into Premiere Pro and DaVinci Resolve, then export both out at 1080p and 4K YouTube settings. The G14 is able to do the Premiere Pro 4K to 4K export in 3 minutes and 2 seconds, whereas the MSI Prestige 15 is able to do that same export in 4 minutes and 34 seconds. The G14 can do the 4K to 1080p export in 2 minutes and 43 seconds, and the Prestige 15 can do that same export in 1 minute and 23 seconds. For DaVinci Resolve, the G14 can do the 4K to 4K export in 7 minutes and 55 seconds, and the Prestige 15 comes in significantly slower at 17 minutes and 35 seconds. For the DaVinci Resolve 4K to 1080p export, we're seeing a export time out of the G14 at 4 minutes and 23 seconds, and the Prestige 15 at 8 minutes and 13 seconds. Like I said earlier in this video, it is amazing to see how well this U-series processor can keep pace on nearly all the tests I ran on these laptops and even surpassed the G14 on the 1080p export. Concerning DaVinci Resolve, I have seen Ryzen processors really dominate this area, and in this benchmark, this is evident once again. But for Premiere Pro, it is pretty nuts to see this i7-10710U keeping such great pace with this Ryzen 9 processor, this high performance series processor during these exports. It's pretty astounding to me personally. Now, let's take a look at how hard these benchmark tests push these two laptops regarding the component usage. Looking at the component usage, it is actually pretty crazy to see how much the MSI Prestige held back on the 4K exports and was still able to achieve such admirable results. If you're looking for a thin and light all aluminum laptop with great on-the-go battery life, excellent export times out of Premiere Pro and DaVinci Resolve, really solid motion design benchmarks, and great results in the Adobe Design Suite, plus solid color accuracy, then I would pick up the Asus Zephyrus G14. But if you're looking for an all-aluminum laptop that runs cool and quiet during every benchmark test while accomplishing great results in video editing, photo editing, and even some motion design, then you want to consider the 100% Adobe color accurate MSI Prestige 15 4K. As I mentioned earlier, if it is a little out of your price range, you can pick up the MSI Prestige 15 Full HD, which is still color accurate at 100% sRGB and comes with 16 gigs of RAM rather than 32 gigs of RAM. All of these models will be linked in the description below, and if you make a purchase through any of those links, those are affiliate links, so I will get a small commission, but at no extra cost to you, and that's what keeps this channel alive and the helpful content coming your way. If you want more videos about the MSI Prestige or the Asus Zephyrus G14, click or tap the screen over here. Otherwise, keep editing, keep designing, keep creating. I'm Benji Kaiser, and I'll see you here in the next episode.